in the pocket. Launches to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. A.D.
3rd and 10 from the 11. Travis under pressure, trying to escape, able to escape. Turns the corner, stays in back.
Gets to the edge. Tony Michelle will send the Dogs home.
To the 30, 35. Yeah! Whitfield to the 50, to the 40. Whitfield to the 30.
There's another first down.
Not dealing with much pressure at all when he does drop back to throw.
The play action. Bennett looks down the middle. McConkey's wide open. Touchdown, Dogs.
Yep. What's going on, guys? It is another episode of college football's favorite podcast, the Noles and Dogs podcast. I'm Hunter.
And I'm Dylan.
And as you can see below me, make sure you guys are watching on YouTube. If you're listening, do it on Spotify.
Yep.
Make sure if you're on YouTube, where we like to primarily put most of our content, make sure you're subscribing, guys, and watching the videos. And Dylan, should we tell them now or just come out with it later?
I think we should come out for it later. Get the whole plan first. Get the plan first.
Let's just say there's some talks behind the scenes of something big happening in the podcast.
We're gonna make it perfect first before we come scare you guys with it.
Yeah, it's not. We're not bringing anybody on. So
nope.
Get that out of your head.
Not yet. At least not yet.
We're not that
maybe
big
one
time.
day in the future. Yeah.
We're not that big time yet, guys. So
guys, Tom Brady's coming on next week. Sorry to break
Tom
it to
Brady's
you.
coming. I was watching Get Up this morning, and they were talking about Tom Brady coming out of retirement again to go into the Jets.
It's not.
Said the man's 50 years old. He just got celebrated and put in the ring of this Hall of Fame of the Patriots. I don't just leave him alone. I could care less about what Tom Brady does. The amount of pain he gave me as a Steeler fan. Leave the man alone. He's fine. He's not coming back out. No. I mean, I don't know about you. If I was Brady, I just saw what happened with that liability of an offensive line in New York. And it took three plays to really just.
He ain't going back to New York.
Yeah.
Ooh, going back. He ain't going to New York at all.
No.
He's
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
He's going to be on ESPN.
No, he's co-running the Raiders.
No, but he's going to be on the Manning cast this season.
That would be kind of cool
for an episode. They already did the before the show started, the Manning cast. They did like a run through of all the guests. Jared Goff and Livy Dunn are going to show up at some point. That's all I'm going to say.
Nice. That's
We're
star-studded right there. Star-studded.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anyway, so this is a week 2 recap video. So we will be going through and recapping what happened in week 2. Remember, Tuesdays are going to be our recap days. Thursdays, maybe sometimes Fridays, mostly Thursdays, are going to be previews into the week. So make sure you're watching both, subscribing, liking, and sharing the videos because we want to try to grow the channel and get content out for you guys to enjoy. All right. With that being said, we had a bunch of games this past weekend, Dylan, and I don't know if you watched them, but
quite a few.
There was a big game down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where you see down there horns roll in Tuscaloosa.
Oh yeah. Before we get too in depth with it, I do want to say, not that I told you so, but I did say Texas was going to win this game.
So you did say that, and I will give you credit where credit's due. I said I would rather watch Texas win, but I just saw Bama winning in the most Bama way possible, and they about did because if you take out the fourth quarter, which I don't know how the under didn't hit in this game, but that's besides the point. This was like a game of I don't want to win it, you take it.
Yeah.
For 3.5 quarters. Like Texas, Bama playing like crap. I mean, Jalen Milroe wasn't anything. I mean, I'll go through the stats in a second, but just in general, Bama wasn't doing anything on offense. Texas would get a lead, had a small enough lead where they were leading and their defense was playing well. But like they weren't doing anything on offense. And then they were just like, I don't want to win. So I'm gonna throw it back to Bama. And then they would do the thing. It was like playing like cat and mouse for the entire game. And then all of a sudden, like they started scoring. They're throwing haymakers back and forth. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know how you thought about the game, but that was one of the things I took away.
The biggest thing I took away from it was that Bama has a quarterback problem.
Oh, yeah.
And because Jalen Milroe struggled a good amount of that game, and they made no attempt to look at the bench and go, hey, maybe somebody else needs a shot. They were like, no, he's the best. This is the best we have.
And
this guy is our man.
And you could be asking yourself that. I was. And I'm just like, been thinking, and I think was it Late Kick? Or I was watching, it was a Josh Bate.
Yeah.
A Late Kick podcast. Great podcast if you guys are interested.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you guys are watching ours too. But anyway, they were saying something. He was saying something about like, maybe Nick Saban knows that there's not a better option on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, back in spring, they realized they had an issue. They went and got Tyler Buckner. He's second. He's not even starting. Is he even second string?
I think he's third string actually, because I think Simpson is second.
So, but didn't want to go to Simpson. Didn't want to go to Buckner. They laid Milroe out there. Milroe has an issue of either A, he was locking down on guys and he threw two bad picks because of it. Or he's just like, first read's not there. I'm time to panic and I'm going to just scramble out of the pocket and try to run. I mean, countless. I mean, I could keep going on all day how many times. It would seem like every play, if they passed, it was, oh, I'm freaking out. I got to go.
Yeah.
And
I say without question, it absolutely felt like he was not comfortable in that spot at all as a starting quarterback.
He just seemed rattled. What were we saying that? Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say is that throughout most of the game, he had some great runs. Like I won't lie and say he's definitely talented as a runner.
Yeah.
But just like, as a quarterback and as a passer, he just so often would make the most ridiculous decisions you could think. Like you would watch him and you'd be like, why would you do that?
Milroe's stat line, 14 of 27, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. As we said, it was just bad picks.
Yeah.
I mean, pull up the video. He's staring at the guy. You're telling him. And there's not another receiver on that side of the field. He's staring at him. He also led the Tide in 15 carries for 44 yards. In carries, at least. Jace McClellan, 12 carries, 45 yards. And then Jermaine Burton had 2 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns taken back as penalties. I think an underlying story, too. Bama 5 of 14 on third down, but 10 penalties for 90 yards. Yeah. That's not good. Not good.
No,
and Bama's defense, 0 sacks, where Texas had 5 sacks on a Bama offensive line that was praised as top class. Like, they're going to be ground and pound, rushing the ball like crazy. Like, they only rushed for 107 yards.
Yep. And most of them were from the quarterback, too. So they weren't designed runs.
No, they were just scrambling out of the pocket.
Yeah, there was a ton of scrambling out of the pocket. There was a ton of just a brief pocket would open. He doesn't see it. He's gone. Gained 10 yards. I will say the biggest thing to note about this game, though, is I think Texas is absolutely a contender for the playoff this year.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're the best team in the Big 12. And I think number 2 would be probably Oklahoma, and I don't think they're on the same level.
But that makes that Red River rivalry game a heck of a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, if Oklahoma stays ranked, I think they're playing decent ball. I forget who they play. I'm gonna look up who. You want to look up who they play this week?
Yeah, I got you. 1 second.
I don't think it's any crazy, but if they continue to play good ball, I mean, that sets up a really nice matchup. And has two ranked top
Yep.
of the tier. It's
Mhm.
just funny how like the two best teams we think are right now, both leaving next year. So.
They're playing Tulsa. Oklahoma's playing Tulsa this
Oh
week.
yeah, that's right. Because they're like, I think Tulsa's a 32.5 point underdog. If I could be wrong,
Yeah.
something crazy like that. I don't know.
It looks like it's 27.5.
Oh, so I may have been a couple points off. But you know what it was? Tulsa was that last week to Washington.
Mhm.
But how about Texas? Let's shift over to Texas because,
Yeah.
man, I mean, came in as if it was just another game.
Mhm.
Never looked rattled.
Yep.
Even when, I mean, it's just Quinn Ewers just looks like a different animal out there. He gets
Yeah.
the hair, gets looked up.
Mhm.
He just, I mean, 24, 38, 349, 3 touchdowns. Just easy work. I mean,
Mhm.
that Bama secondary, we were talking about like maybe weaknesses in that Bama.
Yeah.
I mean, that secondary got eaten up.
Yeah.
Part of that was that the D line wasn't getting anything going on Ewers. Ewers
Mhm.
sitting back there having a time of his life.
Ewers
No,
had the time every single down to scan the field and take in all his reads.
and I think the big thing too, like he protected the football.
Yeah.
Like there was no turnovers. They were very, I think, consistent on offense.
Yeah.
I think they probably would have liked to run the ball a little more. There was a couple of times they got into the red zone where they had to settle for field goals instead of
Mhm.
touchdowns. But how about AD Mitchell? I mean, Georgia killer. Or I mean,
Hey,
not a Georgia, a Bama killer.
Yeah. I would say I shocked Georgia let that guy get out because
So he did that because he has a daughter that lives in Texas. I
okay, that
think the
makes sense
big
then.
reason was that. So yeah, I think he wanted to be closer to home.
Mhm.
So, which is fine.
Yeah. And not to say Georgia isn't missing him, but Georgia has the talent to
I think we're fine.
make
I
up
mean,
that loss.
Mitchell's one of a kind, but I think we're all right there. But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, he had 2 crazy touchdown catches.
Yep. Mhm.
Crazy.
Not even to Xavier Worthy's still there, and he's
He had
just
a
as good
nice.
as he was
He
last
had
year.
a great catch, dude. Like over the shoulder,
Yep.
right there. He caught that. He had 5
Mhm.
receptions, 75 yards. I
Yep.
mean, the Jatavion Sanders had 5 receptions for 114 yards. I mean, this was an overall just onslaught. I mean, the last time Bama lost at home was to LSU.
Mhm. The
And
last time they had lost to a non-conference opponent at home was ULM
that was back in
in
07. That would have
2007.
been
Yep.
Saban's first year.
Yep.
This Texas offense reminds me a lot of. I don't want to make like comparisons
Mhm.
crazy like that, but a lot of like that LSU team that went into Bama.
Yeah.
3 explosive receivers, a running back
Mhm.
that's solid enough in Brooks, and
Yeah.
a quarterback who's a experienced quarterback that's been there, is just lethal if you give him time and can just make all the smart decisions.
Mhm.
And he's just calm, poised in the pocket, like knows what he's doing, like takes full control. I mean, that's what it seemed like. I mean, 349 yards, 349 passing, 105 yards rushing, 23 first downs. They went 7-18 on third down, 2 of 3 on fourth down. I mean, that's balance at its finest right there.
Yeah.
So, do I think
I mean,
Texas? I think Texas
that's
is in the playoff.
that's a
We'll see.
bold claim. I think they're good enough.
I think so
I think
too.
I think there's a solid chance they finish the season number 2, 3, 4 in the country.
They
That
moved
range.
all the way up to 4. So here's their
Mhm.
next. Here's their next. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Next 5 games.
Mhm.
Excuse me. They get Wyoming at home, Baylor at Baylor.
Yep.
They get Kansas at home, and then it's the Red River rivalry, and then they have at Houston.
Yeah.
So very winnable games.
Mhm.
So
The only games I really would worry about on that schedule are Kansas and Oklahoma. Personally, those are the 2 games that make me go, "Ooh, that could be the spot for Texas," because
the
obviously
Baylor.
rivalry with
The Baylor game is a Saturday night game at 7:30, and
Mhm.
if you watch, I mean, that's always just a wild place. Waco's a house of horrors for some teams,
Yeah.
and so you just never know. But I feel like Texas is one of those teams. I think they're kind of like in the group of like
Mhm.
like Oregon, Texas, Florida State,
Mhm.
where where like you're not really realistically on paper you're the better team, but
Yeah.
will will you do the classic shoot yourself in the foot game and just
Mhm.
lose the game that you should?
Yeah.
That's where I kind of see them as. I don't know how
Mhm.
you do. You see Florida State as that. I mean, because you've seen
Yeah.
Florida State shouldn't have lost to NC State last year.
Yep.
They let the Clemson game get away from them.
Mhm.
The Wake Forest game, they just won.
They just got beat. They just got beat that game.
But the two of those three, they really let them get away. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and then Oregon always just finds some way, runs them. I was very impressed. They won this weekend, a game that they
Mhm.
realistically always lose, but they won
Yep.
this week. We'll get to that game a little bit later, but yeah, I'm intriguing to see how Texas goes. I don't think
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a team that's better than them.
I don't think
But
there
if
is a team that is in the Big 12 or on their schedule. I think there is a team that's actually better than them.
no,
But we'll
not
just have to see if Texas can play up to what they should be.
I will say the one game now. I'm going to go back to their schedule. The one game I
Mhm.
have circled on the map right now is they're at home,
Mhm.
but they have Kansas State coming to town,
Yeah.
and that's one of the games that's just two of the top, probably the two of the top three teams in the Big 12 that could be a preview of what to come.
Mhm.
So, because Kansas State's legit, so
Yeah.
that's a very intriguing game this week. They got Kansas State does at Columbia for Missouri, and that's a noon game. So,
That's gonna be
uh,
good. Yeah.
mhm. Any final thoughts with the Bama Texas?
No, I'm excited to see more Texas this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth of it.
As for Bama, they get USF this weekend. I'm sure they're gonna. I would not be surprised if they try to play all three quarterbacks or play
Yeah.
multiple quarterbacks. See what they got going into SEC play.
Is that game in Tampa?
It is. It's a
Yeah.
3:30 game, ABC.
Mhm.
They are 31.5-point favorites, I think, as of right now. So we'll see
Yeah.
how they do. All right, we'll move on though to a group of Aggies that get rocked like a hurricane down in Hard Rock
Great
Stadium.
title, by the way.
Thank you,
Amazing
thank
title.
you, thank you. I know I'm here all night, guys. You know, my they 48-33 Texas A&M gets shellacked on the road in
Yeah.
a game that they led. Which, if you watch the game, at the start of the game, they blocked punt. They block a
Yep.
punt. They score a touchdown.
Mhm.
A couple drives later, there's a muffed punt that Miami has. They cough it up. A&M scores a
Yep.
touchdown. It's like A&M's in control. They look buzzing, ready to
Mhm.
go, and then all of a sudden, Tyler Van Dyke settles in and just
Yep.
starts going to work on that A&M defense that
Mhm.
just got shredded in the secondary.
Yeah.
Shredded. I mean, Miami's defense had 3 turnovers or forced 3 turnovers. That didn't help.
Mhm.
A&M blocked the punt, recovered, like I said, muffed the punt.
Yeah.
But, Tyler Van Dyke averaged 12.5 yards of pass.
Yeah.
Shredded that A&M off. And I was watching. I was going to wait. And I thought if A&M won, it was going to be all over this. Like,
Mhm.
how physically athletic and just built their defenses. Like, they just look
Yeah.
like a bunch of dudes. But it's like, where's the results?
And yeah, I think this is a conversation me and you have had multiple times about, the man behind the headset, Jimbo Fisher, right?
Yeah.
Because we're on, what is it, year 6
Mm-hmm.
of Jimbo Fisher in College Station,
Yeah.
and they've figured out the offense. I'll say I think the offense looked good.
The
the
offense
most
looked.
part.
I wasn't.
Mhm.
I
I think Connor Wigman looks like a quality quarterback for them.
He had 2 picks, but other
Mhm.
than honestly, one of them really wasn't his fault. maybe even the other one. I gotta go
Yeah.
back and look at the other one. But
I gotta rewatch the film on that one.
the one was a who it was crap. What's his name? One of the guys slipped and fell coming back around his route, and it just went right to the hands of the Hurricane. So that one wasn't on him. He went 31 to 53, 336 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, and he rushed for 1. He had 3 total, so he had 2 touchdowns, rushed for 1 too. I mean, Amari Daniels had 18 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Evan Stewart, 11. He had 11 receptions, 142 yards. I mean, they had 26 first downs. They had more first downs. They had 10 more first downs than Miami. They went 8 of 18 on third down, and Miami only went 3 of 9. Miami had 10 penalties for 115 yards.
Yep.
Still won by 15.
Yeah. And I think that shows you more than it because
Van Dyke, 374 yards. He only had 9 incompletions, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. Texas A&M's defense is horrible. I'm just going to say it.
Xavier Restrepo, 6 receptions, 126 yards. Jacoby George, 5 receptions, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
What?
Texas A&M has a sorry defense. It's a joke. That's the only way to describe it. And I don't understand how, the last 6 years of this program have more or less been built on having a good defense. That's all they've had.
Yeah.
Every single year we talk about how boring, uninspired, and how terrible their offenses are. That's all. I feel like that's a hobby me and you have on here. It's just saying oh my god, who cares about Texas A&M? Because they're not gonna be able to score or keep up with anything but Alabama because that's all they game plan for.
Yeah.
But they figured out the offense, and now the defense can't tackle at all.
No, there was missed tackles. There was not getting pressure. They got outmanned on the line.
Yeah.
And the same thing I brought out. Bama did the same thing. It was outclassed on the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And you could visibly tell. I mean, they couldn't get pressure on on Tyler Van Dyke.
Yep.
Miami's defensive line was getting pressure on Wegmans, forcing him to speed up, and then eventually sack. So if you're not going to give time, not going to get pressure, Van Dyke's going to sit back there and do what he did. And that's carve you up like your Thanksgiving turkey. So
make you look.
Just how many more chances is he going to get before something happens?
Well, okay. The thing is,
I know it's week 2 and we're blowing it out of proportion because you never know. They might go on and win 10 games. I don't know.
Okay.
But that defense and you don't fix that in the middle of the season. That you are who you are.
Yeah. And I feel comfortable saying it right now. I don't think this team wins 10 games.
Oh, there's not a chance.
Yeah,
not a chance.
Jimbo Fisher is still at this school because a stupid athletic director got scared he might leave and gave him pretty much a blankless check. If they're going to fire him this year, it would cost them $77 million for a buyout.
No, they ain't doing that.
Exactly.
They still have about 3 years left, really, of his deal.
Of his deal, 7 years.
Because they extended it. That's right.
Yeah. So the athletic director right now. Okay, so the athletic director that hired him left 2 years after he hired him.
Yeah.
He left for LSU.
Yeah.
Right when we had the conversation where LSU was interested in hiring Fisher when they fired Orgeron, right?
Yeah.
They fired Orgeron. They were interested in Fisher, but it didn't really feel like it was that serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the athletic director that took over was terrified and gave him I think it was a 10-year extension. I'm going to search this up because it was ridiculous.
So I'm looking at A&M's schedule. So with the offense, the optimism around the offense, which I do like. I think Wegman's a guy. They have pieces around that are trying. Who's the guy's name? I'm going to find the guy's name. Moose Muhammad. That's who it was. That fell. And they got Anaya Smith still. That's who. It was Anaya Smith. So like they got guys. They have Amari Daniels is good. They have Evan Stewart, who's a dude, big, tall guy. Oh no, that's Noah Thomas. Excuse me. He's 6'6", lining up at the slot. He got banged up this weekend. But I'm looking at their schedule. I mean, I still don't think they're going to lose. They're not going to lose to Louisiana Monroe. If they do, you fire Jimbo on the spot.
Yeah.
I think they beat Auburn. I watched that entire game. I don't know why in the hell I watched Auburn play Cal at 10:30. That 10:30 kick, even until like 1:30 in the morning. I watched one of the worst football games I've ever seen in my life. Cal turned the ball over like 7 times and still, Auburn turned the ball over 4 times, I think, and still lost. Cal missed 4 field goals that would have won them. And then they made a 50-yarder, and their guy got called for holding. Who gets called for a holding on a
holding on a kick? What the?
No.
Now that is funny.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they beat A&M, or they beat Monroe. They beat Auburn. They get them at home. I think they beat Arkansas. Yep. Arkansas's offense is just not impressive, and that's the neutral site. They have to, and then you get into the deep end. I think. So you go in. I think you'll still be fine. I think they'll be 4-1 going into Tuscaloosa, going into the Bama game when they get them at home. So here's your next 4, or next Bama, Tennessee at Tennessee. You get South Carolina at home, then you go to Ole Miss, and then you get Mississippi State before you get Abilene Christian.
Yeah. So when I look at this schedule, it legitimately feels like, I think it's 50-50 on Arkansas.
I think they beat Arkansas.
Right. But they could legitimately go on a 5-game losing streak after that.
They could.
Because I think Alabama would still. I would go with, if I'm a betting person, I'd go with Alabama over A&M that game. I think Tennessee takes care of them at home. I think I don't see how their defense could slow down Spencer Rattler at all. Like, they have a legitimate Spencer Rattler could probably put 500 yards on their defense.
But Spencer Rattler's offensive line is so bad that they might.
I don't think it's because I think like Texas A&M's secondary looked so horrible.
It's just the fact that you're in year 6 and you're a wild card every year. Every week, you never know what you're going to get from this team.
Well, it's just one of those things where we're in year 6 and we're like, I don't think they have a chance at the West.
And the West is about as wide open as it's ever been.
Ever been, yeah.
There's not a dominant team.
I would say the most dominant team right now is probably LSU.
I still think LSU is good.
Yeah, me
too.
But that's what I say, though, is I think LSU is probably the top of the conference, and they're not a playoff team.
And they may lose this weekend. Mississippi State at home, they might be in fits, and Mississippi State is going to give them fits.
Yeah.
So,
like, what do you do if you're Texas A&M? Like, what do you possibly do?
You recruit at a level unlike any other. You get 5 stars out the wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Washington State for that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
You hand the play calling over to Petrino.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that out. So now you got your offense. Now the defense is bad. When can we put it together? And it's just like, well, maybe next year. Jimbo's got, a good class coming in. Like, he's got a good class coming in every year.
He's always had a good class coming in. He's never had a bad class at Texas.
Last year they had the number 1 recruiting class. They went 4-8.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm looking at this right now. So he would be owed $76.8 million if he got fired.
And they don't do that.
He got paid. He got a 10-year contract when he first signed there, and then he got a 4-year extension that upped his pay.
Yeah. It's just hard because, I mean, A&M's not a bad team, but it's just like, if this year goes as if it feels like it could, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
That's
it's just you pay him like he's like Kirby Smart. That's what he's getting paid as if he is.
Yeah, and you're getting results like you're, you know, trying to like
You're like Arkansas in the
yeah, you're getting
conference.
Sam Pittman results.
Yeah, but I would say Sam Pittman has shown better results in his time too. I mean, but Texas A&M has won more than 8 games one time since Jimbo Fisher's been head coach.
And they went like 10-2. That was the
9-1. He's never won 10 games.
that was the COVID
He
year,
has
right? Yeah, because
never
they
won.
finished
Yeah,
fifth in the country.
they didn't go to the bowl game though.
Yeah, they did.
COVID
They won
outbreak.
the orange.
They didn't go to. They didn't go
They
to the bowl
won
game.
the Orange Bowl.
The next year, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Right.
they won the Orange Bowl.
But they went 9-1.
That was because they finished fifth in the country.
Yep. But they have yet to win 10 games since Jimbo's been head coach.
Yeah. Now as for Miami, we keep talking about A&M, but
This
as
is
for Miami,
fantastic news for Miami.
it's great. I mean, now,
Mhm.
the schedule. I mean, now they become a legit threat. I think it's a 3-leg race right now for the ACC. I think it's FSU, North Carolina, and FSU or Miami.
Yeah.
Duke's on the outside looking in. I need
Mhm.
to see Duke beat another team because Clemson, I don't know about.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami, Beth and Cookman at home, Temple or at Temple, weird one right
Yeah.
there. Then they start really going into. Then they start ACC play. They get Georgia Tech at home. They go to North Carolina. So now here's your 4-game. Here's a 5-game stretch for you.
Yeah.
At North Carolina, Clemson at home, Virginia at home. They go to NC State and then at Florida State.
Yeah.
A record I'm thinking if we're starting at North Carolina, I still think North Carolina's offense is better.
Yeah.
I think they could beat Clemson. I think they would lose to North Carolina. I think they beat Clemson. They beat Virginia. I think they can beat NC State. I don't see anything in Brendan Armstrong at NC State.
I agree with you there.
That Florida State Miami game, boy oh boy, that could be a collision
That's gonna be a
course.
fun one.
I need to see again.
I do think
I want to see Florida State play again against a real team.
Mhm.
I know LSU. They played LSU and they played out of their mind. But I want to
Yeah.
see you guys play someone. Who do you guys play this week?
We play Boston College.
Oh, that doesn't count. God,
It's at Boston College though.
Boston College is there were Holy Cross fans invading the stadium.
You know what? It's their bandana game though.
Well, you get Clemson there. You get Clemson next
We go
week.
to Clemson. Yep. We also play Duke this year.
Yeah. I want to see that game. I still intrigued. Shout out noon kickoff. Dylan's excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Because he'll be boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground
sun
in
shining,
South Carolina.
The Lord's praising. Dabo is singing hallelujah. And Dylan's sweating his ball sack off because it wasn't a night game like he anticipated.
I can't wait to meet at the paw after the game, Coach Dabo.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so much fun.
Yep. So Miami, keep an eye on them. I like the direction they're going. All right. So because we're spending a lot of time, but these are good games.
Yep.
There's really there's a couple games. We'll do the Tulane Ole Miss one. You watched this game more than I did.
Yeah.
So I'll let you take the forefront in this one real quick. Actually, I'm gonna step off real quick. So talk about this game.
Yeah, I'll just go into detail about some of the stuff in this game. So the biggest things of note. 1 second. Let me pull up my numbers on this game. All right, here we go. Ole Miss still has a lot of the same problems they've had for the past couple of years when it comes to defense. The offense looked fine. They didn't really go off until the fourth quarter where they were just ahead and they kind of sucked the life out of the stadium. But Jackson Dart didn't look particularly impressive in this game. The running game wasn't really there. And they kept Tulane in there till the fourth quarter. Like, going into the fourth, they were up, was it 17? Yeah. They were tied. No. They were tied going into the fourth quarter. Ole Miss took over then, but Ole Miss has some serious problems when it comes to defense. It could be worse. I mean, the problem is Tulane played their backup quarterback too. they were in the game with Ole Miss with their backup quarterback, and part of that is because that Tulane stadium was loud. The Green Wave was very energetic the whole time. They really sucked. They made that game close. That stadium was the atmosphere in there was electric. It was very hostile. I see some problems that Ole Miss was having with offense, but they did not look good for the most of that game.
The
Welcome back.
the Green Wave blew that game.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying is that Ole Miss has some problems on defense.
Well, they always do.
That's the same problems we've had for years, but Tulane had their backup quarterback play,
Yeah.
and it was a tie game going into the fourth quarter.
And it took a bunch of false injuries
Yep.
and although there was it a ballsy fourth down call?
Yeah, no, there was. I mean,
Although there's no such thing
that
as a
was cool,
ballsy
but
fourth down call with Kiffin
no, with
calling
Lane
the shots.
Kiffin. Yeah, that's
Lane
just a regular drive.
I feel like Ole Miss is like the university where Lane Kiffin could go 7-5 his rest of his career, and they would not care. Oh,
They would not care. No. Well, the thing is, he's so smart with how they
popular
do.
and
He's
smart.
so popular and he's so smart when it comes to scheduling and social media that they'll play.
He got what's his name? Spencer Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
They just come there for no reason at all, and now he's wasting his final year of eligibility as the backup.
Yep.
I mean, he must have a way with words.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he seduces like the ADs and stuff. Just as like gets all weird about it, but he's like they kind of like hypnotize.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what he's doing.
And like they have, I'm looking at Ole Miss's schedule, and their schedule's so for an SEC team, it's ridiculously easy. They play Georgia Tech next week or this week.
I think Georgia Tech. I already have a early pick on that game as far as betting goes, but Ole Miss
they're
they're
19.5 favorites, but I think
Tech's going to cover.
Yeah, Tech's going to cover. They look way better this year.
I took them. I already got them at plus when they were at plus 20.5.
Yeah.
So, but
they look legitimately better this year. But then they also they have the regular SEC schedule, but they get to play Vanderbilt this year at home. Then they'll play UL Monroe before they play Mississippi State.
Then,
so when it comes to like,
they still get Bama.
Schedules,
they still get Bama and Georgia.
Mm-hmm, but they get to play Arkansas, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. When it comes to SEC schedules, they got on the light side, I would argue.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a joke of a non-conference schedule.
Well, everyone does. We do.
Well, yeah, but
we do. We were supposed to play Oklahoma this weekend. Instead, we played Ball State and scored 31 points in the second quarter after going 0-0 after one. So.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this during the Texas game, off topic, because
Yeah.
We wish the Green Wave would have won. I still think they're going to be the best team out of the non-Power 5. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Ole Miss was Ole Miss. I hope they keep winning for all my sake, because that means better chance for prime time
game day.
in Athens. I just don't know how this works. Maybe it's because they played each other already last year, but how was Georgia and Oklahoma not able to play, but Texas and Bama were? And both Texas is going to the conference too.
I don't know.
I have no idea. It's a scheduling conflict for us.
But I think it's because were you guys supposed to play them last year?
No, we didn't play them. We were supposed to play this year, and I think next year or the year after.
That's why.
Because they had already started.
The contract. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you play both, once you play one, you have to play both. You can't play one of the two. That's why it happened.
Georgia's got Clemson next year at Texas, at Bama. They go to Ole Miss. They get Tennessee at home. They get Mississippi State at home. Florida were the home team, and then I think Vanderbilt. Could be wrong. Could be right, but
Yeah.
That's a little. Oh no, we get Auburn. I don't. Excuse me. But that's not a bad. That's a. Oh, we go
That's
to
pretty good.
Kentucky too.
Yeah.
That's not as bad as Florida's though. But that's a different story for a
Yeah.
different time. All right. You want to move on?
Yeah, we'll move on.
All right, sweet. All right, we're gonna move on to actually. You know what? We'll say that one. Let's do Colorado, Nebraska. How about
All right.
Colorado wins again? I know they're only 2 games. 36-14. Take care of the Cornhuskers. Like I said, where's my recognition, Dylan?
Hey, you know what? You're right.
Thank you.
I did say they would win. I'm not
No,
gonna
you
lie.
didn't.
But I
You
was
said
wrong.
it's gonna be a close game, and they're gonna be an
Yeah.
Iowa type offense, and no, it was
I
a blowout.
you love to
Crushed.
misconstrue me there.
Crushed them.
Yes, they did.
Never.
I will say
Sanders.
the first quarter, it did seem like there for a second that I was like, hey.
But no,
But
I mean
yeah,
defense
once
forced,
again, it's on you.
defense forced 4 turnovers, had 2 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Shador Sanders had 31 completions for 42 attempts. He had 393 yards. He has over 900 yards passing in 2 games, 2 touchdowns. He hasn't had a pick yet. He had 3 total with a rushing. How about Xavier Weaver? Kind of coming out as like the people talk about Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's going to get his share, his flowers.
Yeah.
But Xavier Weaver, back-to-back weeks now with over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown, 10 catches, 170. Jimmy Horn had 8 catches for 64 yards, with Travis Hunter's 3 with 73. Still a concern, though. Colorado's rushing attack still stinks. They only rushed for 58 yards and 1.8 yards per carry.
Yeah.
That's still an area of concern, and still why I don't have them elevated above teams like Oregon or, I still think Utah is still betterly built, I think, than they are.
Yeah.
I think they're better than Nebraska or USC, but
I don't. You think Colorado is better than USC?
I think they're going to beat USC.
I don't think they can beat USC.
USC's defense sucks, and Colorado, if Short Sanders is going to carve that thing up, eat them up.
I'll only say this is right
all
now.
you can eat buffet.
They have played some good defense this year. USC.
They've played Stanford, Nevada, and San Jose State.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to hear about good defense until they play someone.
And I don't want to say it, but like Nebraska, I was trying to say, and you didn't understand what I was saying last week. I said Nebraska has an Iowa type offense.
Well, Jeff Sims has an
they
Iowa
do,
type offense.
I was gonna say because Jeff Sims is terrible.
Stank fest.
Yeah.
Bad.
So I don't think that really gives us a clear showing of how good Colorado's defense really is, because they did not look that good last week against TCU. They gave up a ton of points, and USC's offense is way better than TCU's.
But if Colorado's offense can continue to do what they're going to do, oh boy. I mean, they're going to be 4-0 going 3-0 going into Oregon. They're going to beat the hell out of Colorado State.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to USC and be 4-1 going in. 3-1.
Yeah.
3-1 going in. It's going to be crazy. There's the largest crowd in Boulder in like 15 years. Just wait until Colorado host USC in a couple weeks. I will say, if we're talking Nebraska's defense played well enough to win that game. Like, they kept them in the game for the most part.
Yeah.
But then there's a fact that where the offense stinks so bad that, you're just, then it becomes fatigue sets in, lack of depth. Depth doesn't play help.
Yeah.
You just, that it's just the usual. Jeff Sims looked very overwhelmed. Like, did not know what to do. 9 of 15 passing, 106 yards, a pick, 2 fumbles lost, 10 carries he had for 67 yards and a touchdown. He did have the 1 long touchdown.
Yeah.
But, like, Nebraska's leading receiver had 57 yards. That was Billy Ken. So, Nebraska's defense had 8 sacks and 11 tackles for loss.
They should have moved to the backup, Purdy.
They did. They brought him in later in the game.
But from earlier.
Mm. Well, so at that point, the game was kind of still a game,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it just got away. I mean, did you see the throw that Shedeur Sanders had? He looked like a
Which one?
shortstop fielding a ball and just threw a
Oh, no, I know the one you're talking
BB.
about. Yep.
I tweeted it out, and I was just like, holy cow. I mean, that was a line drive BB gun.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of like fielded it like a shortstop and just fired it.
Yeah.
That was one of the most impressive throws I've seen from a college quarterback in a while. From like not like a non-long ball.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to is there anything else? I think I touched on it. Run game needs work, Colorado. That's why I think Oregon's going to beat them next week because a mix of Autzen, mix of the defense is better. I think Oregon has heck of a lot better defense, and I just think Bo Nix is playing really well still. They got dudes to match Colorado, and the defense is what's going to help them. So
yeah.
but we'll get more on that in a couple weeks. Next week preview, but. Colorado. What do you think they're over? What do you think? So their over/under win total is 3.5. So they're gonna blow that out.
Yeah, they're gonna get that.
What do you think? Like as far as like out like eventual like record wise, do you see?
What do I actually think they're gonna win?
Because they still have to go to Oregon at USC.
Yeah.
They have Arizona State on the road. They got to go to UCLA, and then they host Oregon State. Then they got to go to Washington State, and then got to go to Utah.
So I think there's 4 losses on the schedule, and it's all the hard games.
If you told Colorado 4 losses going into the year for the entire year, they thought you'd be smoking crack.
Yeah, because I think they lose to Oregon. Like you do too. I know you think they'll be. I think USC wins, and I think they lose to Oregon State and Utah.
I could see a slip up. 10:30 start. It's already now FS1 at Washington State. Washington State's a decent
I can see that too.
They took care of Wisconsin this weekend.
It's the thing. I was thinking about the UCLA one too, but then I was like, I don't know.
There's a couple games on there. But as of right now, this team won 1 game last year. And I know it's different circumstances, but like 1 game, and now they're already here. So do I agree with College Game Day going there? No, when you have Florida, Tennessee, you have the backyard brawl.
They're 23-point favorites in game days going there.
So I saw a photo, and I don't know how real it is, and it was somebody, but it was a college game day producer was asked apparently about why they chose maybe not to go to the backyard brawl.
Yeah.
And they said that it's just Pitt not being as good as they want them to be or something like that. Like the team's just West Virginia, they knew had a feeling, but it's just like they wanted Pitt to be a little bit better than they were. I mean, Pitt 1-1. They're still a 1-point favorite, but it kind of sucks that that's not there, but as a fan of just the sport and have, West Virginia ties, being family from there, but it's one of those games where it's like, why would you skip them?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I get it, but I still think it's a terrible decision to go in.
It's dumb. I mean, you have Georgia, South Carolina, LSU, Mississippi State. Big game kickoff's going to be there, too. Kansas State, Missouri. Minnesota, North Carolina, Washington, Michigan State, Tennessee, Florida. I mean, I just don't understand. It's the hype around it, but
even that, I mean, it just seems so silly to me because in 2 weeks, you can go to Colorado when they play USC.
Yes, that's why a lot of people were like, why just wait?
Yeah.
Why don't you just wait?
But I guess they're like, what if the hype dies?
Well, because what happens? They're going to win this week. Are they going to go to Oregon? Is that going to be where game day is going to be there? We're going to have Colorado 4 weeks in a row.
No, but I think what
3
they
or
mean
4 weeks in a row.
is that like if they get blown out of the water at Oregon, hype dies. Nobody cares about
But
the
hype going in.
Yeah.
No, game day will probably be in Notre Dame next week. With assuming Ohio State and Notre Dame don't lose, it'll be a top 10 matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and they have to go to that. Come on,
yeah.
they have to.
So Nebraska. Oh well. Colorado. We'll see how far this. What's the word I'm looking for? Phrase.
Season.
Yeah, we'll just see how far this goes. Maybe it keeps rolling. All right, so we had 2 more games before we start rolling in. We'll just kind of knock them out. Utah Baylor. Did you watch this game at all?
I just saw the ending. I gotta be honest. I saw the ending. Utah got away with it.
So I had this game going on my iPad. I was watching the Georgia game mostly.
Yeah.
But so Baylor controlled the game virtually the entire game. Bryson Barnes did not play well. He only threw 6 of 19 for 71 yards in a pick. He got pulled. Nate Johnson came in. But Baylor had 14 first downs. Actually, I mean, they only had 14 first downs. They were 3 of 11 on third down. But Baylor's defense, 3 sacks, a pick, just controlled the game. But their offense was slow in the first half, hot in the second, or slow in the first half, hot a little bit of the second half, and then cooled down the fourth. Didn't score at all. But just a game they totally let went away. And Nate Johnson came in, and boy, what he saved today. 6 of 7 when they needed a touchdown on a drive. 6 of 7, 82 yards. He had 11 carries for 32 yards, a touchdown, which was the game-tying one at the time. Jaquindon Johnson, 19 carries for $129. Mikey Matthews had 4 receptions for 48 yards. He's like, it was not a big passing day. They rushed for 224 yards. They had 20 first downs and were 8 of 17 on third down. So the biggest keys, Baylor blows us 13-6 lead in the fourth. Here, I'll give you the timeline. So Nate Johnson ties game with 1:59 left in the fourth. Robertson, Sawyer Robertson throws a pick with 1:35 left.
Yep.
And then Utah scores a touchdown, 17 seconds left. And somehow Baylor almost had a chance to win that on a no-call PI that they wanted.
Yeah.
In the end zone. Defense saved the day for Utah because they kept them in the game. Baylor starts out 0-2. Utah 2-0. 2 nice wins. They go to Baylor after beating Florida without Cam Rising. I mean, Utah fans got to be a little bit pleased right there.
Yeah, I will say that I saw that last play. That was PI to me.
I mean,
you could say it's ticky-tacky, but on the last play of the game, it looked like PI to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
kind of looked like the ref was like, "I want to go home. I'm not calling it. Let's go."
I don't know where the ref's vantage point was on the field, but you could. I guess it's up to them. You can't review it, so I'm not going to complain as someone that has a friend with the over win total of Utah. I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, guys. So we're going to take the no call and keep our mouth shut, Dylan.
Move on.
Yeah. So Utah, I think Utah keeps rolling, and that's the defending Pac-12 champs. We'll see how far it take them. I am curious to see when Rising comes back. He keeps warming up, but he's not been cleared yet. So I wonder how much longer. I definitely do think Nate Johnson starts going forward. I think just his ability to scramble and use his legs is such a big thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to move on to our final big game, which was the Oregon-Texas Tech game. This was going on during the Bama game, but man, this game was a wild ride. And if you had Texas Tech plus 6.5, I will formally like to say I'm sorry, but I told you should have gone with the best bets that we put out. -6.5 Oregon on a miraculous pick six.
Yeah.
Pretty much with under a minute left in the game. So, well, you're welcome, America. We made you money. If you chose to go against us, that's your fault. Did you watch this game at all?
I didn't even see much. No, I was too focused on the Texas game.
So yeah, I was flipping back and forth. I would catch some, but I watched once
Yeah.
the Bama game started getting a little out of hand, I just switched over.
Well, because I was watching the Bama game and then I was watching the Florida State game.
That's true. Yeah, forgot it.
And then
Yeah, you guys
because the
started late.
Florida State game got cut the time into by the North Carolina App State game.
Yeah.
It got kind of
Pretty much all you really need to know from this one. Did I even make stats for this one? I don't even think I did. So pretty much Bo Nix still looks really good. It was a game that Oregon traditionally loses, but they found a way to not trip up over their own feet. Texas Tech is an 0-2 team that honestly shouldn't be two down, 2 1-score losses is not getting blown out. It's just few adjustments, few plays, maybe they got a few bounces that go your way or wins for you. So
I was gonna say you could just tell this game was crazy by on the ESPN app it has the win probability.
yeah,
Look at it for this game.
it was crazy. There was 4 or 5 lead changes. It was back and forth.
There's a moment where it jumps up to 76 and then immediately drops down to 20%.
So Oregon had the ball late. They were down 2.
Yeah.
And there was a penalty on Texas Tech, which kept the drive going. And then, Oregon eventually had to kick a field goal. Texas Tech, has a chance to win. All they need is a field goal. And I'm like, oh no. And so and then the crazy pick happens and they lost. But, Oregon this is why I think they're showing going to Lubbock at night and playing against a team that was back against the wall, you were going to get their best shot, and you kind of took the blow, responded, and won. That shows me a lot, and I definitely think Dan Lanning's got this team going. Bo Nix looks like a legit Heisman candidate, and I think Oregon is This team has playoff intentions, and I think they can get there. I have them in my playoffs, so of course I'm going to be kind of a little nice job, guys.
Biased.
Not really. I mean, I don't have crazy do or die intentions on them to win, but or make the playoffs. But I think they're a good enough team to make the playoff. I was going back and forth making those picks with Texas. Ended up leading Oregon.
Yeah.
So
I leaned Oregon too. So no need to worry.
Well, that's because you probably
we all make mistakes.
Oh, make mistakes. Okay. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna move on to overreaction or no time, where I will give out a sentence to Dylan after I take a sip from the Owala.
Is it a good cup?
Huh?
Is it a good cup?
Oh yeah. Not like Dylan's ice bottle.
It's got a good piece of ice in there though.
Yeah, I bet. That's because you froze. So anyway, all right. So I got 5 statements, and we're gonna see how bold and what Dylan thinks about them. All right, Colorado, Dylan, will finish as a top 10 team in the country this year.
Overreaction.
Overreaction? Okay.
Yeah. I just think there's too many good teams in front of them. I don't see how, because in my head, I think they lose 4 games. I don't think a 4-loss Colorado sneaks into the top 10. I do think top 15, I can see it. Top 10, no way. I don't think. Yeah, I don't see it.
All right, sweet.
What'd you think of?
I would think lean overreaction too.
Mm-hmm.
But that offense is going to take them as far as they want, and if the defense keeps forcing turnovers, I mean, they have 6 turnovers now forced on defense.
Mhm.
This defense feels a lot like the USC defense, but better. But we're like gave up points, but like knew how to get turnovers.
Yeah,
So, but I think their defense is a lot better than USC's.
we'll see when they play.
They're going to crush USC. Anyway,
I don't think so.
Texas is back with that statement win.
Not an overreaction. I think they were good last year. I said this coming into the season. I was high on Texas.
Well,
You know,
correct.
we can talk about it because we definitely had the conversation where I don't know how, but I slowly convinced you to also believe that Texas hype is real.
Mm-hmm.
But I
sure
think
about
they,
that?
I, I think they have all the right pieces for long term. I think they have the right coach. I think the smartest thing Texas did was hiring Sarkisian because, quite frankly, he was never a bad head coach. He just had inner demons he needed to fight first before he could really become a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
They hired the right guy to build their program, and he's
Yeah.
done everything perfect to get them where they are. Because I think when they're in the SEC, and I think they'll have a good chance of competing every year for the SEC championship. I don't know if they're going to be right off the bat as good as Georgia because I still don't think they're as good as Georgia yet. Or
Their
in
fans
that,
want Georgia.
yeah, but that's awesome.
Georgia fans are like, careful what you ask for. We're like bookmarking that one.
Yeah,
All right.
but yeah,
Oh, go
I don't
ahead,
think it's
finish.
an overreaction. I don't think it's an overreaction though. I think they really are back in terms of being a yearly top 10 team, like legitimate top 10, not like
Mm-hmm. All right, Bama, Dylan, will not win another title under Nick Saban.
Oh man, that's hard.
Do you want me to answer this one first?
That's hard.
I'll
Yeah, you can
say
answer yours.
not an overreaction.
I was leaning that way too.
How many more years is Nick Saban going to go?
He's 78, right?
So he's not going to be around much longer as far as coaching. God forbid,
Yeah.
now he won't. He'll still be alive.
Oh yeah, I think he'll be alive for.
But
No, he's 71. He's 71 years old. That's
until
still,
they find the next big quarterback that they've had
Mhm.
all these years, it's just I'm not seeing anything. They were supposed to win it all last year. It was the best team they've had in a while. Last year they lost 2 games, and we still went 10-2. But that's not Bama's standard.
Yeah.
This year they don't have a quarterback.
Mhm.
They've already lost a game. Now they have no room to mess around with.
They can't make a mistake.
No. And so going
They
forward, I
can't.
mean, until
They can't
something's
even
proven
stumble.
otherwise, no.
Mhm. Like they can't even stumble to get. Like if they have a close game against like Mississippi State, people will immediately be like, "Well, they're not that good."
No. I mean, I think they legitimately could lose to A&M. They
Yeah.
still got to play Tennessee, who could put up points.
I still think they could lose to LSU.
They can lose to LSU.
Mhm.
Now, granted, they do get a bunch of these games at home, which helps. They get Tennessee at home, they get LSU at home, but you still
But I
got to
think
go. You get Ole Miss at
Texas
home.
just showed them the game plan that goes, "Hey, you could beat Bama at home."
Yeah, you just
Like obviously, I think Texas is a lot better than all those teams we named, but still, there's a strategy to sucking the life out of that place.
All right, SEC, Dylan. The SEC is the worst conference in the Power 5 right now.
Overreaction.
Okay.
They're not the best anymore, though. Not anymore as in like forever. I just mean this season, this is not the best conference in college football.
That's what I mean, like right now.
Yeah. Right now, I would say they're like 3rd place or 2nd place. I mean, because I think obviously number 1's the Pac-12. Pac-12 is the best conference in America right now, which is crazy that it's got like 6 months left alive. But I think the Pac-12 is easily the best conference in football right now. It's so deep, so many good teams.
The
What was
SEC
that?
some ad that popped up on this article.
Okay.
The SEC is what went against the top 25 is right now 1-4. The
Yep.
record against Power 5 competition right now is 3-6.
hmm
They would have lost. They almost went 0-5 last. The Ole Miss
Yeah.
game was the only LSU game or the only win out of conference.
hmm
And Bama lost.
Yep.
Or this past week because LSU's lost. The
Yep.
ACC has owned the Big 12 or the
Yeah.
SEC.
Yeah.
A&M lost to Miami. UNC beat South Carolina. Bama lost to Texas. LSU lost to Florida State. I mean, it's not good. Not good.
No, it's
I
not
don't
good at
think it's an overreaction either.
Florida lost to Utah. Yeah.
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 I don't think it's overreaction. I think the SEC is
Uh-huh.
very subpar right now. As of right now, it's just a
Mhm.
big group of clustered teams that are like jockeying for position. Outside of Georgia, there's not really a team. For Tennessee looks slow and sluggish throughout their games. That's why I don't think they're going to win this week. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, I understand why you think that. I don't know about Florida, just because they have
It's the
problems.
fact that Florida is at home
Mhm.
and it's a night game in the swamp. Joe Milton's never played on the road in a big time SEC environment like this.
Mhm.
He has not looked. They were supposed to. They didn't. They only beat Austin P by 17 points. It was the
Yeah.
lowest scoring game and a win at home in Josh Heupel's tenure.
Mhm. And at first, I was thinking the same thing you were, and then I went and looked at the numbers. It's because Tennessee just runs the ball right now. They run the ball like crazy.
But they're also not scoring points though. You could run the
Yeah.
ball for 7,000 yards if you're not going to put points up on the board.
hmm
I don't want to see it. Then change something up. So I'm just telling you, we're gonna see. I think if you're an SEC guy, I think you're just trying to get rid of these stupid out of conference games right now and just get to
hmm
conference play.
Yeah.
All right, last one here for you, and we
Mhm.
kind of already touched on it, but trying to think because we already pretty much answered it. Miami's a legit threat to win the ACC.
I think yes.
How about we'll do this instead? Add that.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like legit threat,
hmm
Miami's a 9.
Yeah. Yeah. 9, 8 or 9. Yeah. I think it just depends on what happens when they play North Carolina.
Like an early, like second, like middle of
Yeah.
the season benchmark.
Yeah, because if they lose to North Carolina and it's not particularly close, I would go, maybe they're not there yet. But if they keep it close or they beat North Carolina, I'm like, yeah, they're right there. Like they're right there along with Duke, Florida State, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would maybe say a slight overreaction and just say maybe drop it to about 7.5,
Yeah,
8. But
yeah, that's
they
fair.
still got some tough roads a game ahead of them. Tough
I
games
think
ahead of them.
going to Tallahassee is probably going to be the hardest game on their schedule.
Going to North Carolina, going to Tallahassee is going to be big. So
Because let's be honest here, if Miami beats North Carolina, that's probably the toughest game on their schedule. They'll be undefeated, and most likely Florida State will be undefeated, and they probably both be ranked pretty high.
Mhm.
Like that would be a game to see.
All right, so
It'll
we're
be
done
at
with.
noon.
Now you know how we feel. Don't even. You can shake your noon game and be quiet. That's how we do. You don't get gifted night games every week, Dylan.
Oh, we will. Oh, we will. Don't worry. We just got McNeese at night.
Yeah. We had Ball State. Oh no, we had UT Martin at night, and then we get UAB next week at night game 7:30.
Yeah.
ESPN 2. We're getting upgraded.
Oh, instead of SEC Extra.
Yeah, or SEC Network. So getting upgraded. Actually, this week for CBS. So
Yeah, that's not bad.
all right. So now we're just gonna do a little just college football scores around the country. I'm only going to do top 25 because I don't need to get into
Yeah.
every single conference because I don't truly care or have the time to.
Yep.
do
No,
it.
that's
So,
fair.
Georgia, like I said, dogs, was 0-0 going into the second quarter. As a fan, offense got to get faster, better start.
Yeah.
The lack of rushing is not good. It's the offensive line's not getting any push. The injuries at the running back have kind of stuttered. Leading candidate to take to be that workhorse back. So want to see them open it up with Beck more.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple throws he made. They were down the field shots, and it was like, where's that been on?
Yeah.
So, they get South Carolina this week. Will they? We'll do a preview Thursday. I already have it on there as one of the headliners. So, but they cannot start slow. I think they got to come out and just punch them right in the mouth, and then just watch South Carolina sputter there.
Yeah.
So, 45-3 though is the final against Ball State. Ohio State got back in good graces, took out Youngstown State 35-7. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 7 receptions for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a good fantasy day if you're playing daily fantasy there. Penn State 63-7 against Delaware. Notre Dame, after a long lightning delay, went into NC State, won 45-24. Utah won. We already talked about that. Kansas State snapped Troy's 12-game winning streak with a 42-13 win. Colorado won. Clemson just looked gross at that start of the game against Charleston Southern, 66-17.
Tale of two halves for Clemson, absolutely. I want to say this just because first half, they looked like they were about to lose to Charleston Southern. And then the second half, they looked like the 07 Patriots in the middle of the season. Like, it was it was out of nowhere. It was like, what just happened?
Dabo pulled out the good little Dabo. What was it? If
Like,
you ever
oh God, we got to run the good plays, guys.
If you're ever looking for a good laugh, always go back to the the Dabo, the TikTok Hickory Dickory Dock. Dabo, he's on TikTok.
It's on the clock.
If you're ever looking for a good cringy laugh,
Oh my God.
There's a video for you. I just gave Dylan he's wearing like gloves, so he's just doing
the
this.
mouse runs up the clock. Dabo is now on TikTok. Oh my!
Dabo's got that swag, and he's on TikTok.
Oh my God! Man, they should have fired him after that. That should have been the end of him at Clemson. Man, they should have just been like, yeah, no, we're good.
Oh man!
Separate that from our school.
Michigan beat UNLV 35-7.
Yep.
Ole Miss won 37-20.
Yep.
Miami won. Washington 43-10 against Tulsa. Austin Peay versus Tennessee. Tennessee 30-13. North Carolina versus App State in a thriller of a double OT.
Yeah.
40-34. North Carolina survives. These two teams play each other every year, and every year it's just a wilder and wilder game.
Yep.
Oklahoma.
It's App State's always good though. App
They
State's
are. They're
always
always a
There's
solid,
always
just Sun Belt right there.
Yep.
I mean, remember they were FCS for the longest time.
They were one of those FCS squad. They won 3 FCS national championships. They were no joke at that level.
Oh no, and they're no joke now.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, SMU. Oklahoma won 28-11. Duke 42-7 against Lafayette.
Yep.
Somehow the under hit in that game. Texas won. Over under was 48, and it was 42-7 with 15 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So. LSU 72-10 against Grambling. Washington State takes out the Badgers 31-22. They had beat them 2 years in a row. Florida, thanks for the money, Wisconsin. Florida State 66-13. Any takeaways for your Noles?
I mean, it was a complete blowout. I mean, they would look like Mississippi, like Southern Miss had a chance at all ever. I mean, we put in the backups halfway through the second quarter. It was a joke. They were running they went for it on fourth down on every single drive. They just would go for it on fourth down anyways.
Sounds like
they were just
college football.
Yeah, that's what it was like. It was like, oh my God, They just do not care.
Oregon State 55-7 over UC Davis, and then USC 56-10 over Stanford, and then one more game to shout out. The Dukes of James Addison go to Virginia and beat them 36-35. So shout
Great
out
game.
the Dukes. And shout out Pitt for losing to Cincinnati turds. Anyway. All right, so we will move on to our final segment of the night. Dylan, are you ready for winners and losers of the week?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Dylan, you want to give out your winners first?
Yeah. My was Steve Sarkisian. Big time win for this guy this week. I mean, how could you have a bigger win than beating? Not only did you beat Alabama, but you beat the guy you learned under. You're one of the first Saban assistants to beat Saban. Number 3 after Kirby and Jimbo. I mean, it's a great thing to add to your legacy. Before you even go to the SEC, you've already stamped and said, "Hey guys, guess what?" Because people have said this a lot about Texas and Oklahoma. You can agree with me on this one. People have said they're not going to be able to compete with the SEC. That's been a conversation of note, especially when it comes to Texas.
Yeah.
So the year before you joined the SEC, you punched in the face Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
No, just punch, knock them out.
Yeah, knockout. Yeah, absolutely. That's a statement win.
By the way, what a great list of names. By the way, Steve, Kirby, and Jimbo.
I know, right? That sounds like the beginning of 3 guys walk into a bar. Steve, Kirby, and Jimbo. This bar is in Mississippi.
Kirby wants you to eat. Jimbo doesn't know what to do with the plate. He doesn't have any strategies. And Steve, well, he's just the pretty guy. All right, who's your other winner of the week?
My other winner was Tyler Van Dyke.
Okay.
It was absolutely great. I'm a Florida State fan, so obviously I don't like Miami. But seeing him return to 2021 form after everybody wrote him off after last year was pretty great to see, especially since I don't know, but I absolutely wrote him off personally. I was like, it was a fluke. I was like, he looked so bad last year that everything we saw good from him was just a little bit of a it was fire. He just caught fire for a little bit, but he looked fantastic. I have to give him that. He played an absolutely great game against A&M.
All right, so my winners of the week are Texas and Miami as a whole. 2 big-time wins for big-time programs that needed a win like this. Both schools, both coaches were needing that signature win, and they both got them. Texas is legit. I mean, that wide receiver core is as good as any. Miami, I want to see more, but it's a great step in the direction beating A&M. As my losers, as I'll go first, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
You're the Bama starter. There's a different standard, and what I saw on Saturday is not it. So either you fix it and get ready for the rest of the year, or I don't know. And then my other losers are the SEC as a whole. It's like, how is the SEC feel like it's this back to mediocre, down to earth? Like the SEC is always the feared conference. Like teams even if you feel like on paper you're matched up well, they come out and just swing and punch you right in the face and you don't respond. But it's just now it's what's going on? So those are my losers.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I had the SEC also as my loser of the week, my number 1 loser of the week, the biggest one, simply because you got two teams that are ranked getting beaten, and not just beaten, but smacked around for most of the game.
All these bad losses for teams in the West.
Yeah, I did. Hey, there's some goofy guys in the East. You never know.
Yeah, there is. Florida doesn't count. Dang it! We almost made a podcast. So let's say this comment. Almost.
Hey.
Almost. All right. What was your
But,
last loser of the
My
league?
other loser was Baylor, simply because that last play was. If I I got family who went to Baylor, so
Mhm.
obviously I always got a piece of my heart that goes out to those Baylor Bears. But that was heartbreaking to see because it absolutely, to me, absolutely that was PI that just did
Well,
not get called.
well, no, did so. Go Utes. Shout out honorary winner actually of the week, and uh, Oregon for
Hmm.
covering the spread first and
Oh
foremost, and
yeah,
also winning a game that they should had no business winning, and they did. So, congrats there.
whew, Oregon's different now.
Oregon's back. They're gonna lose this week. Though. I said that. So we have made it through another podcast, at least today.
Hmm.
Make sure, as it says right there in that header, subscribe if you haven't already. Watch us on YouTube.
Yep,
I
please do.
post clips out on the shorts on YouTube. We post clips out on the TikToks, on the Instagrams. Find me on my social, Twitter. Um, if you follow Dylan, you should follow me. If you follow me, you should
You
follow
should.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Post it on the Instagrams at Hunter Water.
Mhm.
Most of my socials are all my name, so
Yeah. Yeah. So you can follow me at Instagram at Dylan Tackman,
there you go.
straight like that. Yep. And
There we
then
go.
I got to make a new Twitter soon. So when I
Um,
get a new one, I'll tell you guys.
and then like I said, big things coming. We're
Hmm.
still planning them out, and
Yeah.
so stay tuned there.
Hmm.
Um, and finally, to wrap it all up, remember Thursday we record for week 3 review or week 3 preview.
Yep.
So that'll be out Thursday evening, afternoonish, and be ready to roll for Friday going into Saturday. So,
Yeah.
excited for this week with finally first big week where we got some big games. The last week was good too. So, kind of like how we're
Yeah,
getting back into the swing of things.
yeah. Yeah. There's gonna be there's some games to watch this week. That's what. Yeah.
For sure. So,
There's some games that take
But,
some time out of your day and just sit and watch.
yeah. Alrighty. So, without further ado, guys, remember this is the Knowles Knox podcast, college football's
Yep.
best podcast. And
The premier podcast of the sport.
of course,
Hmm.
we'll catch you guys Thursday. Subscribe. Peace out.
See you guys.